Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli and tonight my guests are... First up, he's got more stones than Brighton Beach and he's equally as wet too. It's ABW Button Monkey, Danny the GFP. Hello, Danny.
Oh, don't talk to me about stones. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I've had to ring the doctors and tell them I've got a tablespoons full of kidney stones.
I was going to say, would you like to tell the listeners why you got such a witty intro?
Luckily, I've got my kidney stones are coming out at the size of sand, and there's a tablespoon come out so far.
How are you collecting it?
It's a long story. It involves this kitchen sink and a sponge.
I was going to say stockings.
A mate of mine, Ren, his one come out. It was the size of 2 squished peas, and it come out at the wrong end.
Beautiful.
And he showed me a picture.
Please share it.
No.
Next up, some say that when our next panellist talks, the world listens. Especially in the transfer window, anyway. It's Geoff Arsenal. Hello, Geoff.
Gimmers, it's nice to hear you back again.
It's been a long time, Geoff. I think
it must
have been about 2 months since we've spoken.
It's been a while, and I was just thinking, we've got to one day we've got to run back every single podcast and at the intros because there's always something wrong with Danny. So we've got to clip it every single one and see if there's anything missing.
I bet you 75% of the podcast he's probably got some ailment.
And I'm the only one here who doesn't smoke, drink, or do any other habitual substances.
What about the piles, Danny? Have you got the old knobby styles? Have you had that before or not?
I've been sat down since 1993, so I'm sure there's one or two.
You don't even know.
That's as bad a question as should we shoot more? Of course he's had them.
God bless him.
Right, next up, lover of leeks and daffodils and purveyor of Welsh justice. Why didn't we invest in a bleep button? It's Jason Davis. That was moderately nice for you.
I'm very impressed actually. There was no abuse there.
See, this is the newfound Gimli. I've had abuse myself on Twitter this week.
Jason's had quite the opposite, hasn't he? When we were doing our survey about when Arsenal lose, do you not listen at all? Sometimes listen or always listen. Most of it's coming back. I only listen if Welsh Justice is on. Who'd have thought that he had that many other accounts?
They really are for punishment.
People have been a bit kind, haven't they? I'm currently rocking my Arsenal 97 top, long sleeved, and a daffodil.
Oh dear, lovely. 97, what did we do? 97, 98 or 96?
Yeah, 97, 98.
Oh, that wonderful JVC. No, Dreamcast.
No, JVC.
Oh, it was the double season, wasn't it? Yeah. I was there against Everton. I've said it every single pod, and I shall continue to say it. 3-0.
To be fair,
4-0.
I was watching that in the pub in Armford with my mates.
Oh, here we go. Here's another story.
Have we got any other guests coming on?
We might have a little one before he gets into one of his witty anecdotes.
Crack on.
Good. Right, and finally, it's an honour to be able to introduce our next guest. Ladies and gentlemen, it's ex-Arsenal goalkeeper, Rami Shaaban. Hello, Rami.
Hi there.
How are you doing? Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for being there. And I liked my intro. It wasn't that harsh. So.
Do you know what? I'd never write a harsh intro for any ex-player. It's basically just Davis every week.
Okay.
I deserve it.
He does. He's Welsh. Right then, we'll start off tonight's show, as we always do, with the Arsenal scores from across the board and an end-of-season roundup. Danny?
Well, hey, right, I'll try and get through this pain as quick as possible. Monday the 18th of May, the under-21s played their last ever under-21 game for the seat. Last ever, that sounds a bit ominous. We beat Wolverhampton Wanderers 4-0. With goals from Iwobi. Gnabry got his second goal in 2 games, and Mr. Unpronounceable Plegluluzuelu and an own goal, and that was all before the hour was up. I've actually noticed that when I'm reading this out, when I'm editing this, I can see as I breathe in and out, there's nothing I can do. I've even bought a microphone with a sponge on, you can still hear it. Sorry, people.
I hope it's not the same sponge that you had in the bath.
Anyway, the season is now over, and that was a very good end to it by beating the bottom side 4-0 and 3 consecutive wins. So they finished the under-21 season with 22 games, 11 wins, 4 draws, 7 losses, scored 38, conceded 25. So that's not too bad. But remember, we're in Division 2. We got relegated last season. So
where did they finish, Dan, in the league?
Yeah, finished 4th, Geoff. Only the top 2 get promoted, so that was so we've got another season in Division 2. Middlesbrough and Reading both went up to Division 1. West Ham and Fulham both got relegated from Division 1, and Man United won the title. And it's weird, I was looking back at, this is only the 3rd season when they've had the new FA Under-21 league, and so we finished 4th in Division 2, West Ham got relegated. 3 seasons ago, West Ham come 2nd and we come 3rd. How much it changes and so quickly in lower league football, in youth football. The under-18s have also finished their season. They finished bottom over the 2 phases. Because you have 1 phase and then they all split up into like a bottom half and top half, a little bit like they do in Scotland. And our season for the under-18s was played 29, won 7, drew 6, lost 16.
Wow.
Scored 43, conceded 64. So that's not very good. But a lot of it has got to do with the fact that we had so many first team injuries. Under-21s go to the first team, under-18s go to the under-21s, and then because you can have 3 overage players playing, so there's been a lot of people moving around. I don't think there's been much of a run. But here's our top 5 top scorers in all 5 competitions: the under-21s, under-18s, the under-20 UEFA League. There was a cup as well. There's 5 competitions. Stefan Mavidi, 30 games, 15 goals, which is quite good. Alex Iwobi, 25 games, 11 goals. Super Dan Crowley, future Arsenal legend, 29 games, 10 goals. Tyrell Robinson, 28 games and 8 goals. And Caelan Hines, 11 games and 6 goals. I know it's not all about goal scoring, but there you go. That's all we're looking for usually is... and plus we had Irish legend in the making, Stefan O'Connor, doing wonders at the back. But I think next season will be a decent season with us because we've got a couple of decent players coming up from the under-18s. And hopefully a few of them will make it through to the first team. And for the ladies, they're now on a break until the middle of July because the Women's World Cup in Canada, did you say it was, Jason?
Yes, mate.
Oh, I know one of you said it was, yes.
Yes, trust him to know.
There'll be a lot of that on I think the BBC will be doing, showing every single game live, so you lot get out there and support the England and all other home nation teams. And in fact, support the Canadian-ish as well in case our Geoff is listening or our Kelly's listening.
The Swedish.
Yeah.
Are they there?
Swedish are there.
Oh,
yeah.
Lovely.
They're a top team.
They are. Yeah. They are.
Yeah, they are. They're right up there with Brazil and the USA, I think. Right,
yeah, Norway's, I think, and Germany is, I think, wasn't it the Germans that won the World Cup?
Yeah, it was. Didn't they win the Euros as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Won everything overnight.
Oh, it's superb, to be fair.
Wagon back in it, the centre forward. Didn't shoot a big centre forward, or shoot a goalkeeper. Big centre forward keeps on scoring loads of goals. She's a big, powerful unit. My, them Germans, they are big, strong units, aren't they?
Yeah, machines.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Got to respect them.
I'm all done, Gim.
I was going to say, is that our lot? Well, I think after that grim analysis of the season, then might I make a request for the music at the end of the podcast? I'm going to go for "Things Can Only Get Better" by Dereem.
Especially when you take into consideration our performance this season and the last recent run of games, but I'm sure we'll come on to that.
It did seem like we had, at one point, we had such a promising youth setup.
Yep.
You kind of sit there listening to that thinking, well, where did it all go wrong?
And you see Larson last night playing a blinder against us again. What a player he would have been for us.
Because you've got to remember, there's a new outfit now in charge of the youth system, and as Goonaholic said a couple of weeks ago, they're trying different things now. You know, they're practicing on improving the players rather than just the team.
Yeah, individually. That's right. Yeah.
Well, I've had it on good authority from Mr. Carpenter that next season Klopp is going to be managing the under-18s and Carlo Ancelotti the under-21s. Maybe Guardiola's going to come and do the ladies.
Oh, ladies.
That sounds fair to me.
Yes.
Right then, should we kick this on?
Yep.
Right then, we've got 2 matches to cover tonight, so let's kick it off with a game at Old Trafford. Geoff, I'm going to chuck you in at the deep end, so if you'd like to tackle this one for us.
Well, the difficult first half, wasn't it? We really, really didn't get going. But, the main thing is, what was it, 1-0 I think it finished, didn't it? So much happened in this week. Yeah, we went 1-0 down, didn't we? That's correct. Like an Arsenal team of maybe 18 months ago, after going 1-0 down at Old Trafford, we would have crumbled because it was on us for a long while. But then we slowly got back into the game. The second half was much better. And, it was, it was a difficult game. It's always difficult up at Old Trafford, isn't it? It was a lot running on the game. It was the most important thing was not to get beat, and we did a good job in the end, and we could have maybe come away and nick a win out of it. But I think at the end of the day, it was a fair result.
Mm. And Jason, I thought that the game was fairly even in terms of shots and whatnot. They edged the first half, of course, but I did think in the end that we were slightly unlucky maybe not to go on and win the game.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, in the first 15 minutes, I thought we started well. Then they just took over. We couldn't get the game going. Unfortunately, Santi had one of his poorest days in an Arsenal shirt. He gave the ball away so cheaply, which is unlike him. He'll have good times, bad times, but that was, he was very poor. And when they stop him playing, we never seem to get going properly. It takes us a lot to get going. But second half, when substitutions are made, I genuinely thought we'd go and nick it. But I mean, let's be fair, we were quite lucky to come away with a draw.
I mean, we'll talk about the goal now. Rami, Theo took his chance. He came on in, and for me, he seemed to make the difference, the injection of pace. He took his goal well, even though it was a deflection. Can he win a place in this team, and what positions do you think he would get in that team?
I'm not that sure, to be honest. To be honest, if we talk about the game again, when we were 1-0 down, I think a lot, because if you remember, we did a great game against United at home. We should have won that one at Emirates.
Yeah, true.
And it's just, I think that brought some confidence to the team as well. It's like, I don't remember who said it of you, but 18 months ago we should have maybe lost 4-5 after 1-0. But I think that shows an improvement of the team, that it is improving, but still I'm lacking the backbone. Like, I'm lacking some characters that can turn around this, like 1-1. Yeah, I think as well it was a fair result, but if you would have had a few, like, with more character, we could have nicked it.
Yeah. And do you think the FA Cup result where we beat Man United 1-0 at Old Trafford maybe gave us the confidence we might have needed to go, do you know what, we actually can get something from this game, Rami?
Yeah, I think so. I remember myself when we played United, we knew it was a tough game, but it was not, like, impossible. And after those two results, like you said, in the FA Cup and the great home performance against United, I think there is something. I think that was a key factor that we could get something from the game.
Definitely so. Danny, I'll move over to you next. We've not lost at Old Trafford this year, and we have got some good results against the bigger teams. What do you think has changed in the way we'd set up for these matches? And do you think it's just personnel that is on the pitch? Do you think we have a better team from previous seasons? Or do you think we've gone about our game plan completely differently and actually gone there with a tactical approach?
Man United shit, that's what I think. They've got no idea what they're doing. They're playing all the wrong players. I mean, when you have people like Valencia playing at right back, and then you have Fellaini playing as a striker, and then the only decent player they've got with any kind of form is De Gea, and that's it. It's got very little to do with us and more to do with the fact that they're falling apart and they're a terrible team. But
not to mention as well, Daley Blind is just awful, isn't he? He's a shocker. Every game I see him play, he is rubbish.
Yeah, but when you've come from playing for Ajax in a quite an easy league, when you're dominating that league and you've won 3 Eredivisie titles back to back, and then you come to being plopped straight in the Man United team without even being around the club for that long, it's never going to be easy for you. Don't worry, that boy is going to turn out to be brilliant.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad in the World Cup, was he?
That's because he's playing in a team that he's used to playing in. I think all those players are going to take a while to gel. Plus, when you've got Van Gaal as manager, that you never know whether you're going to be playing in goal, playing up front, or whether you're going to be sweeping the streets or anything. I think it's got very little to do with Arsenal and more to do with Man United. But who ever thought we'd live to see the day where we go there 2 games around and don't lose?
No, I mean,
it's very negative, I know, but
Rami,
I totally agree. We look at the United team. If you look at the team, and their bench as well, it's weakened. But they had a great run in the end. If you see how United started the league, but I think it's a little bit the same with us. If you look at the team, I think offensively we have the good players. We have Sanchez done it brilliantly, and then I was hoping more of Ozil, to be honest. But I think it's not only the top the top strikers. It's like you need to have. I'm not want to sound like too negative, but we need to have a backbone. We need to have something to, even if we have a bad day, we can win. I mean, that was the days before. We knew we maybe didn't play the best games, but we won. And that, I think, is one key factor as well.
And I think you can really tie it up in a knot and bring it full circle by saying maybe Arsenal have lost their fear factor over recent years in the same way that teams will now come to the Emirates and give it a really good go, in the same way that teams will play Manchester United and know that, they can turn them over. I mean, Geoff, do you think that Manchester United have lost their fear factor?
Well, they're definitely not. They're not the Manchester United that we know in the Fergie days. That's an absolute fact. But I mean, I've been amazed really, because I've watched every single Man United game. I watch all football, and I've watched all of their games right throughout the season. And there's only one or two or three games that they really deserve to win. I mean it, because I've seen all of their games and how they've got through and how they've come into 4th place. I am amazed, because some of the matches that they've played where they've just scraped out results, it's been unbelievable, because they should have got beaten a lot of those games when they in fact nicked a goal at the end and got the 3 points. But I suppose that's the quality of player that you do have. They have got those type of players, spent a lot of money on them, and they will maybe come up with a goal. Someone will pull out a goal as and when you need it to dig you out of a hole. Rami,
don't forget De Gea. He had a great season.
Oh, De Gea.
That's the thing as well. That's a massive boost for them.
The old goalkeepers union. Good shout, mate. Good shout.
Cheers.
Yeah. Rami, I was going to say to you about what you were saying earlier on about the characters. Like we had in Tony Adams and Patrick Vieira and players like that. Players that can really, if you're under the cosh a little bit, they can get hold of everyone and say, come on, we've got to do this now. And, they'd find a way to get the group together and get it working again. I think there's a shortage of that type of player in the game now, isn't there? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally do. Especially in the big teams. I think you have those in the, that ends in the middle of the table. You have few players that can change a game, but in the big teams United don't have those players either. If you look at them, Roy Keane is not there. They don't have anyone, and I think we are lacking a few of those players.
Yeah.
And when you look at when City was so dominant, Yaya Touré had a great season. He haven't had that great season this year.
Company.
Yeah, Company. And you see, those players are so important for the team. And when those players doesn't deliver or are up for it, then look at City.
Do you think? Sorry, Matt. Do you think you can get players can grow into that role though, can't they? If you have a solid 7 or 8 players that plays every single week, you do tend to find one or two of them will pop up and they'll take control of it. Like, maybe, I'm personally, I don't understand why Mertesacker, with all his experience and all his caps at playing for such a wonderful team in Germany, I'm surprised he hasn't really shown that character that we are definitely missing.
Yeah, I agree. It's about the environment. If you look at Sol Campbell, it's always easier when a team is going well and you have not that much injuries. You can gel together, and you built on that. But when you start to have injuries, you start to trying things like United, for example. Again, they are trying a lot, but I agree. I totally agree. You need to have someone or a few players that are stuck together. Then you can change maybe a few players, but not that many.
And Rami, I wanted to ask you as well. A lot's been said in the early parts of the season with Wojciech Szczesny, and about him having ridiculous different amounts of defenders or defensive combinations in front of him. I mean, how important is that as a goalkeeper to have a consistent, solid back four in front of you?
It's so important. I have been on both sides, to be honest. I have been in teams that it has been working really well. I came back to Sweden where we changed a lot, and it makes it's difficult to exactly say what it is, but if you have two center backs and the back four at least pretty consistent, it helps a lot. Then maybe a few games, maybe you have injuries, you have suspensions and stuff, you can manage. But when to change that much as you do, it's going to be a problem, even for the goalkeeper.
So do you think that, and Geoff, I know you want to come in a minute, but do you think that would have affected Szczesny's performance in the early part of the season? Do you think it was harsh to maybe blame him for some of the mistakes that he made because he didn't have that regular four in front of him?
I think that's one thing. The other thing is as a team, I can remember if I had a bad day, I was saved by very good players in front of me. And if a very good players in front of me had a bad day, we saved him. But when you don't have that chemistry, it's very difficult to save someone and be solid, especially being solid. I can see games where I think Mourinho have done really well, they are solid, very difficult to beat.
Again, that's maybe the continuation, isn't it? The continuity. They've got that solid group of. Chelsea. I think I read a stat the other day. 8 of their players have played at least, I think it was 28 games together.
Yeah.
And like you say, is that you're familiar with each other. You know what your centre-half generally does and your full-backs. You know what you can do with them and how they're going to defend, don't you? Whereas if you've got an unsettled back four, which we did have at the start of the season, it does, you do it a little bit shaky.
Yeah. Yeah, and totally. I can take an example. It's not in the Premier League, it's in Bundesliga. Dante, for example. I think he was one of the best central defenders last year. Then they lost to Brazil 7-1 in the World Cup. He came back. He has been awful this year. And it's that's the difference from being, okay, they won the Bundesliga, but they struggled in the Champions League.
Yeah. Yeah. And can I ask you, going back to talking about De Gea, he's got great credit in the Premier League at the moment. Everyone more or less says he's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. He saved them the early games, like we was talking about. Is he as good as what they say he is? Because I do a lot of stuff that he's been saving has been shot straight at him. Now, I don't know whether that's great positioning or he's just been lucky or what. What do you think about David De Gea?
Mentally, I think he's really strong. If you remember when he came, he struggled so much with the crosses and everything. and he had a tough time. He came back mentally and saved the team a lot of times. And to be a top goalkeeper, you need to be able to do that. And those goalkeepers cost a lot of money. But I can only look at, when I was at Arsenal, we had David Seaman, he saved us. Jens Lehmann, he saved us. You need to have someone that can have game-changing saves.
Yeah.
And that's something I lack today.
We'll round it off there then for Old Trafford. And we'll move on to last night's game against Sunderland. It was a 0-0 draw on the night and still leaves us short of the automatic qualifying places, albeit, we still could qualify if both of us win or whatever. It's purely down to goal.
I think haven't United got to get about 57 goals or something like that?
I think they've got to score 8.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen, is it? They're not against. They've got a Hull, haven't they? I think that I can imagine. Is it at Hull?
Yes, it's at Hull.
I fancy they're going to turn them over. Hull, I really do.
Really? Is it Bruce there?
Yeah.
He's never in his entire time as manager beaten Man United.
No, they're at home. They need to win. They've got to beat them they've got to win to have a chance of staying up, haven't they? And United are on the beach. They know they're not going to beat them 7 or 8, which takes them above Arsenal. So I think they'll be on the beach. It's going to be interesting one of that for the betting coupon. Sorry, Gim, carry on, buddy.
No, that's all right. I mean, we can elaborate on that, and I don't think saying that, Geoff, even though we know it's purely down to a freak result on both sides, that it's totally comfortable until we've either got the point or the whistle is blown in the 90th minute. I won't be counting my chickens at the moment. But Jace, Sunderland last night then, and your thoughts on the match, please, buddy.
Oh, it's frustrating, wasn't it? I mean, I thought we tried hard. We were a little unlucky at times. To be fair, let's give Sunderland a bit of credit. They set up to get that point. That's all they needed to stay in the Premier League, was 1 point. They were disciplined. They worked hard. They defended really well. You look at Catamol. He's not everybody's favourite player, but my God, what he does for that team when they need him to do that, he executes it superbly. Credit to them. Pantilimon pulled off a couple of great saves. We just didn't have it in the locker to open them up. I thought Giroud got unlucky on one occasion. I thought when Walcott came on, he was pretty. I thought against United he looked tentative. I thought he looked a lot more committed Wednesday night. It was just one of those frustrating nights. Everybody's losing their heads, but you've got to give Sunderland credit. They did a job.
I was going to say it was quite clear from the way that they put out their team that I don't think that they were going to come to us to win. They didn't expect that. It was very much in the same.
They didn't need to, did they?
No. It was the same way as Swansea. They thought, we'll sit there, we'll defend, we'll try and get the point, we'll maybe catch them on the break. I mean, they probably would have taken a lot of heart from watching the Swansea game.
I mean, to be honest, you look at it. They need 1 point to stay in the Premier League. They've had a couple of good results recently. They were on their way down, and you saw what it meant to their fans after the game. You can't win them all. You can't win them all. At least we didn't lose it. At least we're still going for the third spot. It's disappointing, yes. It's not the way we wanted to end the season, but they were resolute. You got to give them a bit of credit, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely so. Danny, we will move over to you next. And the question that I want to ask you is, we had, I think it was about 21 shots on goal, only 8 of them were on target. Does this game highlight for you the fact that we need a top-class striker?
It certainly does. Poor old Olivier Giroud is a wonderful player, but he's a limited player. He doesn't have the pace that some players have. I was saying on the radio show last night, I sent them a message saying that we need a player in the kind of Ian Wright, Aguero, Sanchez mode. No, not Sanchez. We've got Sanchez, haven't we?
Yes.
Suarez. What we need is we need 10 more Sanchez's. Yeah, that's what we need. Someone who has got pace, who can do something other than just play with their back to goal. Because with someone like with Giroud, it amazes me that how often, because when he was at Montpellier, he was quite good in the air, and that's they didn't always play to that strength of his, but it was always there. Now, how often do we have crosses coming in for Giroud to deal with? Hardly ever. And I think that's a trick we're missing. But we do need another striker because I've made a few stats of the last few games. Our last 3 home games, we scored 0 goals, as we all know. We had 62 shots at goal, 18 were on target, and we had 66% possession on average over those 3 games. Now, to have 18 shots on target, they're either really, really bad on target, or those goalkeepers are having a game of their lives. Now, I think it's a combination of the 3. And then I was thinking, well, maybe it's fatigue. Giroud has played 33 games this season. He's got no goals, no assists in his last 7 games, and he's averaging 6.45 over the last 7 games. That's rubbish. Ozil, he's played 29 games this season. In his last 9 Premier League games, 1 goal, no assists, and his last 5 average Premier League games from Opta, 7.27. But then you look at Sanchez, 49 games this season he's played for us, and in his last 8 games, 5 goals, 1 assist, 4 man of the match. Now, if it's fatigue, how comes the player who's playing 49 games this season is doing so well, and the players that have played 29 and 33 haven't? Now, I just think that some of the players just aren't up for it. I think, yet again, Ozil he come back with a bit of a bang. He was getting assists and he was getting the odd goal. And I think the last goal he scored was the dying embers of the game against Liverpool when we beat them 4-1. We do need another striker to give more to the for manager, another card for Wenger to play, another outlet for the striker. Because at the moment, when Welbeck is fit, you know that he's going to play Welbeck in the Sanchez role, like left. He's going to play him as a left-sided attacker, right-sided attacker, or maybe even play him in the hole behind. He's not going to play him as an out-and-out striker. He doesn't like out-and-out strikers. So if Giroud doesn't do it, we don't do it. And it's a terrible run of games to be on. 7 games, no goals as a striker. After, when he come back from his injury, he was superb. He was getting a goal nearly every game.
I think for me with Giroud, he is a very good player, but I think his position has got to be behind the main striker.
Wenger asks too much from him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the worst part about that is when he can't do it or he doesn't score the goals, he gets ripped apart by the fan base. Another player from last night that seemed to get an awful lot of stick was Mesut Ozil. And to be honest with you, I think that a lot of people are getting very tired of some of the performances. Maybe some aren't reading his game properly.
When you look at the stats, last 9 Premier League games, 1 goal, no assists. His job is to get assists, and then his secondary job is to get goals, and he's doing neither. And I love Ozil more than most.
I'm sorry, boys, but I don't get the sort of abuse that Ozil's getting at the moment. We need something different to Giroud. Okay, there's no doubt about that. You've got to have options. But, when teams are sitting back and they're not coming out to play, they're coming to defend, then trying to thread the eye of the needle pass in, pass out is very difficult. The problem we've got, we're not building consistent pressure on these teams. We gave the ball away cheaply again last night.
But we're still getting shots on target, though, Jason.
Yeah.
Against Chelsea, we had 1 on target. We had 9 against Swansea and 8 against Sunderland. They're going on target. They're just badly aimed.
Exactly. But this is my point, okay? We're getting the shots on target. We're creating the chances. We're just not finishing them. So we're having a pop at Ozil and what have you. But where are the people finishing? I saw, I don't want to sound as if I'm having a pop at Santi Cazorla again, but you had a couple of shots on target last night which were just dreadful. They wouldn't have scored if you did it 50 times. We had Gibbs fire one over. We get desperate. Something a little different to come on to freshen it up wouldn't be the worst thing for us, would it?
No, but I did think, and we'll go to Rami next. We had Walcott come on, and again, he made the difference. Rosicki, within literally 2 minutes of coming on, he executed a wonderful pass and set up an opportunity. What did you make of the subs last night? Do you think they changed the game? Do you think we could have put on different people to maybe shake it up, or do you think the right decisions were made?
Questioning me, or?
Yes.
I think when the team is doing well, a lot of players are doing good. But what I'm lacking is, like, I don't want to sound too pessimistic, but I can only compare when I was at the club. If someone had a bad day, someone else stepped up and did the job. I feel that we are, like, depending too much on each other. That we somehow, like, if Freddie had a bad day, Perez scored. If Perez had a bad day, someone else scored. And we don't have those players. If Mesut is having a bad day, I'm expecting someone else to step up. And it's the same from the bench. It's like you need to have players that can make the difference when you come in. And I'm lacking that a bit. Like, it's not gonna... Yeah, sometimes it does. But I want to see it more consistently, that when players come in. But to be fair, it's the bench. We are saying United is not having a great team. They are not having a great bench. I see, as like we said about Giroud, we don't have options. You need to have options that can change the game. And we don't have that today.
No,
we take someone, we get rid of Bentner, which was totally right, and we get, I'm not saying exactly the same kind of player, but we get like a better kind of Bentner.
No, that's very true. Another question that I wanted to ask you as well is, last night we had 75% of the overall possession. Against Swansea we had another ridiculous percent. I think that was in the 60s or 70s. So we're getting the possession in the games. So why aren't we winning them? I mean, why are we failing to take our chances, put the game to bed? I mean, really, you look at these games on paper, we should be winning these kind of games comfortably, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should, and we did before. And that's what I'm saying. We need more different kind of attacking options. If something doesn't work, we change the game plan. We do it differently. It's like someone said earlier, like, if a team wants to come and just park the bus, it's very easy to do that. And not very easy, but it's before we penetrated that with the excellent passes, and of course we had a great team like Dennis, for example, who could change, who was amazing player. We need, and Sanchez have done a great job. But I want more kind of like players that can, if Sanchez don't have his day, someone else step up, and that's what I'm missing.
No, you're very right there. Geoff, I want to come to you next. And another player from last night that came into a lot of criticism was Jack Wilshere. Are we expecting too much from him too soon after that injury?
Well, he's got to get back into the swing of things again, hasn't he? You know, I mean, you know, Arsenal fans are a very fickle bunch. It's sad to say it, but they are a very, very fickle bunch, because a couple of weeks ago they was all writing off Theo, we should sell him, blah, blah, blah. And then Jack came back and he had a decent second half, or when he come on a sub, he come on a sub as a decent, he played very, very well on that right hand side, and he didn't do bad again the other day. But it's so difficult with these players, and you've got to take into consideration what Rami said is those teams that come and they do park the bus at our place. It's like the Chelsea did the same, really, Swansea and Sunderland. They're most probably as fit as you, right? They're all, highly toned professional, all international footballers, and they're very, very fit. And you have to find a way to break these teams down, but it is very difficult when they They're just all parked in their box. They've got 6 at the back, 3 right in front of them, and they're really, really tight. They're not very far away from each other. There's no holes where they can pass those little balls through. We couldn't really get in behind them at all on the flanks. And although we was trying to be patient, you do unfortunately, as the game goes on, unless you score first, which totally changes the other team's game plan, you try and force it, and that's when you start making mistakes. And we could have quite easily conceded last night. It was amazing. I had one of the lads, the Sunderland boys, the centre forward, didn't score that goal.
Fletcher.
It was easier to score, really, but it was incredible how he missed it. But it is so difficult against these teams. And well, you've got another thing you've got to take into consideration. We've got an FA Cup final in 3 weeks. We are more or less third, unless we get beat 4-0 at home, and United win 4-0 in the last game of the season because of the goal difference. And subconsciously, maybe Rami, you'd know more of me. Subconsciously, you really don't want to get injured, do you? Because a Wembley Cup final was a dream for most probably every single footballer that's ever played the game.
Yeah, of course, it is a massive thing. It's amazing. I won the cup 1 year. And it's so big in England, and of course it's something you have in the back of your mind. It's a game that you don't want to miss that game.
No, of course. Geoff, I wanted to stick with you because this is probably a question that's more geared towards you. How important was it to secure third place? And I mean, we're talking hypothetically a 95% job done. And what are the implications does auto-qualification mean for our summer transfers in regards to the Champions League?
Well, the first thing is you haven't got to get the boys back early. And you haven't got to, it must be difficult for them when they've got to come back a couple of weeks early and get prepared for these, because you have got to be right on it. Because these Champions League qualifiers, as we've found the last 3 years, who have we played? I think we've had the Turkish team. Who have we played last? Besiktas, wasn't it, last year?
Besiktas.
Wasn't there?
Then we played Marseille.
Udinese as well.
Celtic. Was it Celtic we played in one?
Yeah, and we've played some really, really tough teams. And they're difficult games. So you've got to get them back. You've got to get them back sharp and get their mind and get their focus, because if you get dumped out, then you are in trouble. So you've got to get them back early. That's not very nice, And the main thing is that once you get into that stage, you're already qualified. You can really some of these quality players, top quality players that we maybe are aiming for, they want to guaranteed Champions League football. And if you're not qualified, it obviously does make a difference, That's in my opinion anyway.
No, I totally agree with you. Right then, I spoke about Thomas Rosicky earlier, and he came on and I thought he had a positive effect on last night's game, and we will finish it off with this question. Jason, I'll come to you. Does Thomas Rosicky still have more to offer at Arsenal? Because there are very, very strong rumours that he might be moving on in the summer.
I love Thomas Rosicky. I think he's a fabulous player, super quality. Injects energy whenever he comes on the pitch. But Father Time's catching up on him. I just can't see how we're going to give him another year. He's hardly featured this year. If we want to be challenging for the title, I'm sorry, but the Flaminis of this world, the Artetas of this world, the Rosickys of this world, they're not good enough, in my opinion. Okay, it's just my opinion, but I think give the lad a decent send off. Give him an appearance at Wembley, because I think, he does offer something, but next year he's going to be another year older, and it's not going to be kind to his legs.
What is he now, 35?
34, 35?
He's 35 in October.
Yeah, I mean, you look at him, he's been a magnificent representative for the club, hasn't he? You're a top quality bloke, puts all the effort in. But, Rami, you must have seen players age as they go on. There's only so much time they've got, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's so difficult to predict as well. It's like, it's so important to it depends on how they see their future in the club. I'm not talking long term now because he's 34, but it's as well important to have blokes that accept to be on the bench that gives 100% and is not going to play that much. Does the boss want to have a player like that, or is he taking someone maybe... it's so difficult, to be honest. I love him as well. And it's two ways he can go. The other way is he buys, like you guys said, some really good, solid midfielder and have Rosicki like a super sub, if you want to say that. Or you buy a really good defender and try to have someone young that can come into the team like Fabregas did when he came, and to have a role model that is playing, but you accept that you're not playing. So it's so much about the character. How if he accept that, or if he so it depends a lot how he is tackling it.
Personally, I think that while he's still got a little bit of game time in him, I mean, he's been ravaged by injury at Arsenal. It's such a shame because he's a massive, massive talent when he arrived, and you can see it. He's still got it now. He keeps himself very, very fit. He still looks like he's got another couple of years in him, although he's 34, 35. Hasn't played too much football, so I don't think he's totally run out of gas, so to speak. I reckon we should, he should, as a, for his own self, I think he should go somewhere and play his 30 games per season, wherever it may be, because he could still get in. I mean, if he wanted to stay in the Premier League, I promise you there'd be a queue of clubs that would take him, and he would play every single week. So I would like him to go off, because he's not going to be playing too much at Arsenal there. The competition is too much for him, isn't it? And I think he should go off and have a good couple of years playing his 25, 30, 35 games a season somewhere else before he finishes off, maybe, back in his own country or something like that. What do you reckon, Rami?
Yeah, I think Bundesliga, in Dortmund he was magnificent. And I think it's always difficult when you have been in a top club in a country and you're 34 to go. I reckon he should maybe try Bundesliga, and there he will get his game. And why not Dortmund?
Straight swap for Royce, yeah, I think.
Apparently, boys, Sparta Prague fans are having a whip round. If the club can get him, they're going to help pay for him.
I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. Yeah, brilliant.
I want him to see him stay, because when he come on last night, it was the most exciting thing about that game last night, apart from Jack's first half hour.
This is the thing. He's a super player, isn't he? He's such a top quality player.
I mean, that left-footed bit he put through into the middle of the box.
That curved
confidence. Ball. That's it. Yeah.
No, but
he's not going to get in. He's not better than what we've got, really.
Well,
Let's be honest.
23 games this season, and he's played the full 90 minutes 6 times. And I think he's just had quite a few injuries and little niggles and things like that. But I think I'd keep him, because you never know when we're going to need him. Over the Christmas and New Year period, I think that's when he played quite a few games for us in the league and the FA Cup. And next year is a testimonial year, so let's give him the testimony.
That's what I said as well. It's like it's a guy. If he accepts that, I think he's going to be a tremendous asset for the club. It's like Edu, when I was in the club. He didn't play every week, but you always knew that you got something from him.
One of my favourite players, he was.
Yeah, and it's so important to have those kind of players in the club as well. That he's gonna do his job.
Yeah, Thomas to come in last night after he's played 242 games for Arsenal, to come in and after having a bit start of the season, to come in and have the impact he had last night, that was a thing of beauty. The man is just, you just want to give him a big hug.
But he's another one of these guys. He's like, to be fair, Ramsey and Wilshere are the same. They don't hide. They always want the ball. They always want to make an impact, don't they?
Yeah,
definitely.
And if that's the case, as Rami said, if he, then yeah, if he's prepared to be on the bench, maybe, but it's going to be a tough ask for him to even make the bench, isn't it?
Yes.
What do you think, G?
Yeah.
If we do strengthen, how does he get in?
No, that's what I said. I honestly don't think he's going to. He's not going to get in front. I mean, there's nothing better than when he does that. He seems to run away from players, puts his foot on the ball, and just changes direction and just runs off. And when he's super dynamic. He does come on from the subs bench. When you need a little bit of injection, he comes on and he gives you that little bit of. He's very dynamic and he goes straight for the centre of the defence and freaks out all kinds of defenders because they really don't know what he's going to do. But I just don't think, I think unfortunately we need better than that now. That's what I honestly, to be winning Premier Leagues and fighting for the Champions League, you are going to need better than that because you've only got so many men in the squad. But I wouldn't. If he stays, I'd be delighted for him. But we'll have to see what happens, won't we?
I think whatever happens, Arsenal fans will remember him very, very fondly. The rumours in the paper were that it would be West Ham that were interested in him, and there were, as Jason said, the Sparta Prague rumours as well. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens over summer. Yes?
Got one question for Rami about Thomas, which is something I've always brought up. The fact that he missed virtually all of 2008 and 2009 with that injury that he had, do you think that prolongs his career as a professional, those 2 years that he didn't play?
It depends on... I can only look at myself. I was away for a year almost. And it took me a year. Then I was back doing really well. And then I had my cruciate. And it was a knock too much for me. So it depends on if he gets injuries afterwards. And if you get... and it's so different depending on what kind of healing you have. Like Henrik Larsson in Sweden, for example. He's amazing. So it depends on the player a lot. So some players, sure, I agree, but I don't think there is a yes or no answer on that one. I think it depends so much of the player.
Okay.
I'm sorry for the boring
can I ask
answer,
you about? You mentioned the great Adu. I mean, I thought he was a fantastic player, and a left foot like a wand. I just remembering that at Old Trafford. I think it was a cup game, and he totally controlled the game from start to finish. It was incredible. It might have even been the game where we won the league up there. Did he play in that game? I think he did, didn't he?
Well, the Wiltord goal.
Yeah, the Wiltord goal. I'm not quite sure, but I remember seeing at Old Trafford, and he was off the wall. But what I was going to ask you, Rami, do you keep in touch with these guys at all? I mean, what is he doing? What is he doing now, Adu? Because I know he got transferred to. He went to Spain, didn't he? And did he break his leg or something, or a cruciate straight away? And I think he came back and done it again. Does anybody know where he is now?
I think he's back in Brazil. I think so.
He's at Corinthians. I think he's general manager there.
Okay.
I only know that because that's my Brazilian club.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
In Brazil.
I wondered.
But he's very much loved by everybody. And he went to Valencia, broke his leg almost straight away, struggled to come back, and then he went back to Brazil, played for Corinthians for a little while, and then I think he was taking legal action against somebody at one point. They forced him to play somewhere. I don't know why I remember that, but I think that's where he is back in Brazil, like Rami says.
I mean, he's an amazing person. So easygoing and so lovely, genuine guy.
Brilliant.
He had a bit of backbone on the pitch, didn't he?
Top player. He was a good player.
Right then, boys. Our next segment is quite simply a Q&A with Rami about his career and his time spent with Arsenal. So, Rami, is it okay to ask you a few questions?
Sure, shoot.
Fantastic. My first one is, how did it feel when you first heard the news that Arsenal wanted to sign you?
And it's not only because I'm here talking to you guys, but I was a big Arsenal fan before that. And it's a day you will never forget in your life. And from the background where I came from as well, I played in Sweden, not regularly, for a good team though, but and it was so surreal. I had a great form. I was in good condition. Self-confidence was very high. And when I got... it was like this. Our coach said there is a big team in Europe who is interested in you. And I said, okay, that's good. And because I didn't play regularly, I was like, yeah, whatever. It's like a big team doesn't take someone who is playing 10 games a year or something. Then it went a couple of weeks, and our chairman said there is an English top club interested in you. And then, of course, I started to think, okay, who can that be? It was United had Barthez. No, they are not interested. And Chelsea wasn't a big team at that time, to be honest.
I like it. I like it.
They still aren't.
I like it, Rami. I like it.
So I didn't consider Chelsea at all. And then I thought of Arsenal. Yeah, David Seaman. He's not getting younger. And of course, you start to think like. And then he said, "Yeah, it's Arsenal." And for me, it was like,
wow.
Yeah, it's like, but at the same time, I was working in a normal job here in Sweden, 8 hours a day, and then I practiced football. So I had quite a hectic life, and but it's a day I will never forget when. But it was even bigger when they said, when it was more concrete, like when they said they want you to come and have a trial. That was even bigger, I think, because taking the step from being interested to be there on a trial, it's a massive step.
Yeah, of course. Geoff?
Yeah, no, can you remember the trial? Can you remember what how you felt at the time, and who was it? Did you was it a game, an arranged game at London Colney or something like that? Or?
Yeah, I remember. I got the phone call. I was in my white Ford Mondeo. Yeah, and it was. I was on my way home, and they said they want to see you after tomorrow. And I said, okay. Of course, the club said, sure, you can go because it's good for the club in Sweden. But we were as well in the middle of the season. But as I told you earlier, I wasn't a regular, so they let me go, and. I arrived at Heathrow, and I knew the press was going to be on me. So I spoke to my lawyer, and he said, don't even pick up the phone because it's no point. So I didn't. I arrived at London, Heathrow, and Pat, he was like the administrator at the club. So he came to pick me up. He put me in St. Albans, Sopwell House, where all the players... New arrivals arrived, came there, and I wasn't nervous because I felt only to come on a trial was something I will never forget. And it's so difficult because, not difficult, but it's understandable. I can understand if you come from a good club in Europe and you go, but for me it was more like, it's... a lifetime experience more than anything else.
Fantastic.
And my next question to you, was it intimidating knowing that you had been bought to replace club legend David Seaman?
I didn't look at it that way. I was bought actually to be a good backup. I remember the boss saying to me, it was like, you're experienced. And I thought to myself, experienced, age-wise, yes, maybe 26, 27. But if you look at my games, I'm not that experienced.
No.
So I knew that I was going to be a backup. And I was gladly to take that opportunity, of course.
No, of course.
So,
I was going to say, sorry, when you arrived at Arsenal, I mean, were there any players that, took you under their wing? Which Arsenal players made you feel welcome? I mean, did you have any closer ties with any of them in particular?
First, when I was there on trial, I went to the dressing room. Freddie, of course, is Swedish, but I didn't know him at that time. I had never met him before that as well. So it was easy to speak to him, because obviously when you come from the same country, it's always easier. And I didn't want to be like, I'm not like that as a person, like, oh, I know he's a big star at the club and everything. But for me, it was more like, hi, how you doing? Fine, that chit chat, and that's it. And
did he welcome you though? Did he make a little bit of a fuss of you?
And everybody did. I went to everybody and shook hands and said hi, hello, and that's how I am. And that's what I'm expecting from my boys at home as well, to be polite and to be humble. Yeah. Everybody, but the thing that surprised me was the goalie, and at that time it was Stuart Taylor. They were so nice to me, and that made it easier as well. I thought in my imagination, it's competitive and it's so you're not going to be that welcome and everything, but it was the total opposite.
No, that's fantastic to hear. My last question then, before I hand it over to the panellists, who I'm sure have got more questions, and then there's listener questions after that. We've literally got questions coming out of our ears. But my last question for you is, what were your fondest memories of your time at Arsenal?
My debuts, of course. It was something that I will always have with me. And the good team spirit. A lot of people ask me, how was it? And I said, it was really nice. But at the same time, when the club is doing so well as we did, it's easy when you don't have any setbacks. But, as I told you, the debuts for me was something special, of course. And entering Highbury, which I have only watched from the TV before.
Yeah, of course. Danny, then. I will hand it over to you if you want to kick us off, and then the rest of you boys can have a little bit of a free-for-all.
Okay, right. Questions, these are all from Twitter. Pete the Gooner says, should we stay with Ospina, or do you think we need to buy another keeper in the summer?
I think if we want to win the Premier League, I think we need to buy a new goalkeeper. I don't say anything wrong with the Ospina or Szczesny, but if you look at the teams that have won the league, it have to be world-class top goalies.
Is there any goalkeepers out there that you think that we could possibly get? That
I think Sommer in Gladbach has an amazing season. He went from Basel to Gladbach, and because I'm watching a lot of Bundesliga, so I have been following him this year. Ter Stegen went to Barcelona, and Sommer came from not a minor club, but a minor league, going to Bundesliga, which is a very good, tough league. And he has been as good as Neuer this year, I think.
Was he that Swiss goalkeeper?
Yeah,
I think I've heard of him. I've seen him play a couple of times.
Yeah, they beat United when he was at Basel.
Oh, yeah, because they beat them a couple of times that season, didn't they? They had another player there. Oh, no, I can't remember.
They beaten Chelsea as well, hadn't they?
Yeah, and he had a great season. The only thing is that maybe it's too early, but I think he had a great season. He took that... he took it so well. I mean, coming to Gladbach, who had Ter Stegen, who had a great seasons in Gladbach, coming in, taking over his job and doing it as good as he did. I think Sommer is a keeper to have an eyes on.
Do you think? I mean, I think there is a shortage, a big shortage of top quality goalkeepers. I also think that a lot of the guys, they're not fond of Szczesny. But I do see a good goalkeeper in him. He's still very young, and I think he, well, how old is he now? 25, Dan? Something like that?
Who?
Szczesny, 24, 25?
I think he's not that old, yeah.
No, personally, I don't think a goalkeeper really matures till they get to 27, 28 when they've had plenty of games behind them, because it's all about the experience, isn't it, Rami?
I agree 100%.
No, I think Szczesny is a very good goalkeeper.
He just needs 25.
So he's still very, very young. He's played a lot of games. Do you not think that we should persevere with him because there is a shortage of top goalkeepers and try and work with him?
Yeah, I'm not saying we should, like I said earlier, I don't think we should get rid of them, but I think because he's that young as well, as a goalkeeper, I was 26 when goalie was David Seaman was in goal. It depends on how his character is as well. If he's ready to if the club believes in him, they should be stuck by him, not stuck by him. Yeah, back him. Yeah.
Okay, question from Catherine in, I think, Chicago. She says, there are lots of options in which positions we need to strengthen in the summer. Who would be your top summer signing in any position?
Ooh. Like I have been saying so many times, I want a character player. I want someone that can hold the team, a Vieira type.
Like a Morgan Schneidlin, someone like that?
Say again?
Nah.
A Morgan Schneidlin?
No. The boy at Southampton, the French kid, Schneiderlin.
I think you need someone that is experienced, someone that... I know it's very difficult, but if it's a dream signing, is someone that has done so much already.
Okay, right then. Carl asks, why are good goalkeepers so hard to find nowadays?
Because the money, I think. I think it's... First of all, I think it has become more difficult for goalies as well. You change a lot of... the balls are very difficult to...
Very true.
Yeah, so... And that's a reason as well. A lot of... I have said it so many times. I don't think goalkeepers will be like before, 40 years old, and because they train and the practice is so much tougher these days.
Yeah.
So I think but at the same time, I think money, because it's the big clubs take the good goalies. And that's, if you look at the big clubs, they have very good goalkeepers.
Like Chelsea have got 2 decent goalies, and so have Man United got 2 decent goalies. Normally, those 4 goalies would be spread around 4 teams.
Yeah.
Because it's such a specialist position, though, Rami. I'm surprised that there isn't a lot of, because of what you said about the money. I mean, if you're half a decent goalkeeper, you should get a good living out of the game, because you're in the game for longer. So I'm surprised that there isn't a lot more of these young kids that are coming through. Maybe that's going to happen in another generation.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, if you look at Germany, for example, if you look at Bundesliga, they have so many good, young, talented goalkeepers. Every week when I comment German football, it's one of the teams, I don't have the statistics here now, but if you look at the goalkeepers in Germany, they are fantastic. They are really doing well. You have so many. So I think there is, but if you only look in England, it's like for the outfield player, like you buy so much players from outside.
Yeah.
If you look at the goalies in England, it's all foreigners.
Yeah. Okay, right. Mohammed Gray asks a good question, and I've just looked this up, and he says, does height affect being a good goalkeeper? Because I just looked, Espina's 6 foot and Szczesny is 6'5". Does the height make much difference?
I think it has become more and more important for the modern football. I do think so. Before, a long time ago, I don't think there was. But now, when you see the crosses coming in and everything, you need those extra centimeters, like you say in Sweden.
Yeah,
but I think if you look at average heights now comparing to 10 years ago, you're going to be a big difference.
I think that's right. I think you're right, and also shot stopping, and if you've got longer legs, you can spread more in the goal, can't you?
Yeah, and not only it's like in every sport you develop, and if you look at the goalkeepers today, they are like very fit, and if you are long, if you are taller, you still train really hard. If you look shorter, you're more explosive. For the muscle type, but I think you need to have a certain height to be the top goalkeeper.
Rami, after you left the Arsenal after your leg break and the injuries and what have you, you went on to represent Sweden in the World Cup finals. What was that feeling like for you? Because you'd been through a pretty tough time with injuries, and then to actually play in the World Cup finals, that must have been magnificent.
Yeah, and that has been my career through everything. It's so many peaks and so many, downhills.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been. That's, if you see it, my career, it has been like that. I came after Arsenal, I had a very tough time finding a club. My confidence was down the drain. And I went to a few clubs on a trial, but didn't do that well.
West Ham? Did you go to West Ham?
I was there on loan, actually.
Yeah.
For a month.
You did enjoy it or not? Different setup, maybe.
Yeah, different setup. My mind wasn't 100% there.
No.
Like I said, my confidence wasn't good. But I realized in football it's so much about timing and not only luck, of course, because I think you earn luck, but it's a lot of timing to come into somewhere and fit.
What was it like when you went to play for Zamalek when you were studying, I believe, in Egypt? And what was it like studying and playing football? And I know you got a lot of family there in Egypt because your dad's from Egypt, isn't he?
Yeah, that's correct.
Did you enjoy it there? Was it a good experience for you?
To be honest, I think I grew as a person more. Seeing all the hard life they have there took a toll on me. I went to Egypt in June. I was quitting football, actually. I said I'm going to Egypt to my dad and going to study at the AUC, American University in Cairo. I had the whole summer off, obviously, because you don't have university during the summer. You start in August, September. And it's like with everything in life, when you don't have it, you miss it. But when you have it, you don't appreciate it that much.
Yeah, true.
And that was, with me, the case when it comes to football. I wasn't playing for 2-3 months. I was just chilling, enjoying life. But then I realized I was in, I had to take a decision. Should I go with the studies or should I try football again? And I took a great decision at that time. I chose football. And I have always been like that. When I put my head to it, I'm doing it until I succeed. And that's what I did.
100%. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to Arsenal, Rami.
Yep.
So you secured a contract at the club, which obviously made you a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more confident because they're obviously, you've got a new contract. Your first training session, was it Bob Wilson?
Yeah, Bob Wilson.
Legend of the club.
Yeah.
One of the bravest goalkeepers that I've honestly ever seen.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Bob Wilson when I was growing up. Yeah. He was our main goalkeeper. What was it like to train under him? What was his training methods like? Was they good? What was your opinion of that?
he was an amazing person, amazing coach. He looked at you as a person. And obviously David Seaman was the first choice. And we had a great time, to be honest. And even Eddie was there at that time. Eddie, the goalkeeping coach.
Niedzwicki, yeah.
Welsh International.
Yeah. Of course. No, we had a great goalkeeping setup. And to be fair, the goalkeeping practice wasn't that hard as I thought it would be when I came from Sweden, where we were running as hell. We were training so hard. So when I came to the club, the goalkeeping exercises wasn't like as demanding, but it was more efficient. It was more clinical.
Yeah.
And that took me to another level as well, not only confidence-wise, but when I realized I have always been like a chameleon, like you adapt to your environment. And that's what I did in the club as well. I adapted very early. Yeah.
I got a Facebook question for you, Rami, from Nicola Tielso, and he asks, what was it like to play two different keepers with Seaman and Jens Lehmann? Was there a big difference between those two guys?
Yeah, it was a massive difference.
I bet.
Yeah, it was an experience. With David Seaman, it was more like you laughed much more. You always had a laugh at the training. And with Jens, it was like, yeah, professional German. I wouldn't say David Seaman wasn't professional, but I mean, he was more like a robot. Like he demanded much more from you. And I have got that question so many times, and I had a great time with Jens as well. But on the pitch, it wasn't as great as with David Seaman, I must say. But afterwards, we lived in the same area. We had dinners together. But then in training, he was like, he was not the same person. But I respected that because he was fair to everyone. And that's what I liked with Jens. He demanded as much from Sol Campbell as from a youth player.
Yeah.
So he was always, you knew where you had him, and that's what I liked with him. Even if he was really hard, he always
firm but fair.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't mind that. It's fine.
Sounds very German to me.
Yeah, it does. It does, and that's, I think, is one of the reasons why they are so successful.
And did you learn off of those guys? Did you genuinely learn off of those guys?
Yeah, I did a lot. And that's what I said when I came to the club. Yeah, technique, how to handle pressure, everything. I looked up for them and respected them. At the same time, of course, it was a competition, but you felt that, like a lot of people said, yeah, but you took David Seaman's spot and everything before you got injured. I said, no, David Seaman was the first choice. I knew it, and even when he came back, I knew he was going to play David Seaman with all rights. So, of course, I respect him very much.
Do you know the goalkeeper? I mean, it's a very lonely position, isn't it? You know, and you really have got to be concentrating all the time. Do they work on? Or did they give you any? How do you work on your concentration? Because you got to be on it all the time, haven't you?
Yeah, it's something you feel when you come to the club. As I said, when I came to the club, it was so much more clinical. It was we didn't practice as much as we did in Sweden, time-wise, but I was more exhausted after the trainings at the club because it was so on and off all the time. And that's what goalkeepers do. They work on and off all the time. So I got that from the experience at the trainings.
Rami, Graham Hawkins on Facebook's asked a question with regard to Arsenal goalkeeping coaches at the moment. Do you see that maybe the standards that Bob Wilson and Eddie Nitzvicki had when you were there have dropped? Do you think that may be a part in the problems we've had since Jens Lehmann's left?
I think Jerry Payton came to the club as well when Jens came. And that year we didn't lose a single game. So we need to look back as well to see we had great goalkeepers, and we were very spoiled when it comes to the goalkeepers. We had David Seaman for a long time. We had Jens, who had a great run at the club. And it's not easy when it comes to that. But as I said, with Bob and with Eddie, it was a different climate comparing to Jens and Jerry Payton.
Right. One of your fellow countrymen, Elias Blum Hoyle, is asking, well, you're obviously an Arsenal fan and ex-Arsenal player. Who's the best Swede, in your opinion, ever to play for Arsenal?
Good question.
Yeah, very good question. Oof. I must say Freddie.
I don't blame you. Everybody loved him.
I think I would agree.
Do you see any young Swedes coming in who'd be a good fit for Arsenal at the moment?
It's such a big step to take. There is, I remember under 21 European Championships that was in Sweden. We had a very good players under 21, but they haven't succeeded on top level. And we are struggling, to be honest, in Sweden to find those. We have Zlatan, and that's it. We have a few average players, but I would like to see a few more players like Zlatan. We don't have that, unfortunately, right now.
I mean, you've had Kim Karlström, another Arsenal legend. That consistency with those guys is superb, isn't it? K.A. Leighton asks, and again, he's harping back to time at Zamalek. What was it like being a young professional in a notoriously ferocious environment that they have in Egypt with football?
Yeah, it was so tough for me. I was coming from training 2 times a week in Division 4 in Sweden, or Division 5. Coming to Zamalek, which is one of Africa's biggest clubs. It's Ahli and Zamalek, top clubs. It was such a big difference. It's the biggest step I have been taken, bigger than going from Sweden to Arsenal, to be honest, because of the effort and time and all the things around the football in Egypt. It's so hard. It's not only football, and I think that's why I went back to Sweden as well. It's a time, people ask me, what do you remember from Egypt? I say every time. I was at a club in Cairo, not Zamalek, I went to another club. And before training, you practice 11v11 like we did at Arsenal before the game, the day before the games. And the under-21s sometimes was in the team and sometimes not. And at that time, I was off the team. So we were sitting, watching the 11v11. And one of my friends came to me. Oh, he was so disappointed. He said, Rami, how am I going to get food to my family now? Because when you are in the first team and you're playing, you're in the squad, you get the bonus if you win. And that was a shocker for me. It was like I was coming there with a private driver. I didn't see, the security. In Sweden, you have the security. Even if you don't succeed in football, it's not mean that you don't have food on your table. And listening to your friend saying this was something that's so big and so it's beyond, to be honest.
Some real eye-opener, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And that is something I have taken with me all the time. Even when I was at Arsenal, it's like, okay, even if I don't play next game, I can't sit here and feel sorry for myself when I know people are starving and people are having a really hard time.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult.
Okay, Rami, I've got a question, 2 final questions. One from Gunnar Swede on Twitter says, if Arsenal were to play Hammarby, who would you be rooting for in your heart?
It's so difficult. I have been representing 2 clubs in Stockholm. It's like Arsenal and Tottenham, to be honest. It's like Sol Campbell made the journey. And I have always said where I had the success is something that I will always have with me. And it's something that I always... I never had in Sweden a favorite team. I always had Arsenal as my team. So I have to say Arsenal.
That's a very lovely. We're getting lots of questions about you and coffee. I mean, I'm a bit of a coffee fan. So, what's your favourite coffee? And then I've got one about Zlatan, and then Jason's got a question for you.
Okay. I always drink espresso. I'm an addict.
What machine do you use for your coffee?
I have 2 machines, actually. I have one fully automatic Siemens, and I have one Nespresso.
My favourite one, I've got a Tassimo, and because I've got kidney stones, I'm not allowed to drink coffee anymore.
Oh, that must hurt.
Mine was the caramel Macchiatos.
Yeah.
Oh, they're yummy. Okay, my final question before Jason asks: do you think maybe if Zlatan would have copied you and done a trial, he would have been an Arsenal legend?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know why he didn't do a trial or why he didn't sign?
Because what I heard is like he came there and he said that Zlatan is not doing a trial. That's
fair
character,
fair play.
Yeah, but that took him somewhere as well. And
certainly, yeah.
It's like, but I'm not like that. I did the trial with the under 21s, and I was so happy for it.
Wow. Okay, Jace, you go.
Okay. Matthew Tomich from Facebook asks, who do you rate as the best goalkeeper in the world right now?
Another good question.
Yeah. Oh, I get those questions so many times. I have to say Neuer then.
Okay. What are you doing nowadays, Rami?
What I do, I have 3 boys at home, a lovely girlfriend, and I'm in finance, actually. I am interested in finance. So I'm one of 5 co-owners for raising money to invest in companies.
Fantastic. Are your 3 boys into football?
Yes, they are. So it's a hectic life here.
Any budding Walter Zengers and Rami Shaabans coming up?
They are lefties.
Really, all of them?
2 of them. My 2 youngest are lefties. I don't know where that come from, but
Have they got flair?
yeah, they do actually. But it's so on and off, to be honest, when they are so young. Some years they are really into it. Some years they are not, and I think that's something you just have to cope with. And it's something I told my boys, like, I'm never going to put some pressure on you. And I understand having a dad who has done what he have done. It's not easy, but I don't want to put the extra pressure on them.
Do you think that they're interested enough to want to be a professional footballer? Either of them, you know?
I think, they are, but the 2 younger are too young. They are like 5 and 7, but I have a 13-year-old that is, but it's like in their age. They want to be something, but are they prepared to do what it takes?
Yeah, very true.
Have you made them support Arsenal? That's the thing we all need to know.
Yes, of course.
Good man.
Gimli, back to you.
Jeff?
Yeah.
No, there was one more question from Geoff. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I want
to
to take you back to Arsenal again. I mean, that's what we're here for. I'm a big fan of Arsene Wenger. What was your experience like with Arsene? You know, did you was he always honest and open with you with regards to your career at Arsenal? And did you ever see him angry? Ever see him lose his temper or anything like that in situations? And what was your experience with Arsene Wenger?
My experience was that he was a gentleman, or he is. But the thing that I liked the most from him was that every single player felt that he was almost the most important player in the squad. Even the players on the bench felt important, felt needed. And I think that's what made us so successful as well. That was one of the answers, but yeah. I think you had a few ones there.
Did you ever see him angry?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Not like
not swearing or stuff like that, but
no, not like that. More frustrated, a few times. But as I said so many times, my 2 years at the club was fantastic. 1 year we didn't lose a single game, and the other one we won the FA Cup. So
yeah, that season where we went unbeaten.
Yes.
I mean, it just must have been incredible.
Yeah, it was
to be in such a team and to go through it. All right, we'd won the league, but we had 4 games to go. Was the players aware at that time, or that that they could, remain, unbeaten and become invincible, or would you just playing the games out?
I think I know the boss was eager to go unbeatable. For me, to be honest, it was. If I look at my personal view, it was very, not hard for me, of course, but it made me that I didn't get my chance. I spoke to the boss in March, I think, because my contract expired after that. And I asked him how he wants to do. He said, I would love to see you in a game to make a decision, but as long as we haven't lost, I can't play you. And I understood him. I would have done the same thing. You don't change your goalkeeper when you have 4 games to go.
Yeah.
So it's nothing I can be disappointed about. But if we would have lost 1 game, I think he would have played me to see if I could get an extension on my contract.
Yeah, which is a shame, really, isn't it?
It's both sides. It's like I was so happy for the team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I knew that...
Bittersweet.
Yeah, exactly. Bittersweet. That's a good word.
That's brilliant. You've been brilliant, Rami.
Rami, you're still invincible.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank
indeed.
you.
Right then.
We had 2 goalkeepers that season that didn't lose a game.
Yes.
I just
Brilliant.
wanted to say at the end of this segment, of course I asked a few questions and I've just sat back and listened to this, but Rami's insight was absolutely fantastic. And of course the questions from our listeners again this week.
They were even better.
Yeah, exactly. Twitter and Facebook. We're spoilt for choice every week, Rami. Right then, we'll move on. Rami, we do a predictions league. And at the end of every season, the one that's got the most predictions right gets a trophy, which our very own Geoff Arsenal holds at the moment.
Giving away, so it looks like the listeners are going to win.
You're not going to get it. You've got to buy a new one. I'm going to. It's looking so nice and shiny. I thought, what, fuck them. They're not getting it back.
It should be down to you, Geoff. As last season's winner, you must pony up the dough to get a new trophy. I
don't mind that. I don't mind that. I'll agree to do that. It's no problem.
I think what we'll have to do is maybe find 3 or 4 of the listeners that we know quite well, and then get Geoff to post it to one of them, and then they have it for a couple of months and post it around, and then some of the listeners can share it between them.
Have they definitely won it then, the listeners?
Yeah, I think they're about 12 points clear.
Was I second still?
Unless we rig it like we did last year to make sure Gav come fourth.
Right, so anyway, back with the programme. We'll do the predictions for West Brom. All we ask, Rami, is scoreline and first scorer. And seeing as you are our special guest tonight, if you'd like to kick us off.
Okay, I think we will win 3-1.
And who do you think is going to score the first goal?
Jonas Olsson for West Bromwich, but we will turn it around.
Ooh.
Yeah,
That's a brave prediction.
Yeah,
very brave prediction. Danny?
Well, you remember the last game of the season 2 seasons ago when West Brom were playing? 5-5 with Man United?
Yes.
I'm going to say 4-4, and the first goal scorer is going to be Ozil, as in Wurzel.
I see you've totally given up the ghost for this season then. Jason?
You won't be laughing when it is 4-4.
3-0 Rambo.
Wonderful. Geoff?
I'm going to go... I'll tell you what I'm going to go. I'm going to go 3-0 Thomas Rosicky.
Okay.
Only.
And I'm going to go 1-0 Alexis.
If you lot can remember this, then
that's safe.
WhatsApp me them later.
Yeah, no, it is safe to be fair. I just want to secure that second
It's not,
spot.
because I don't think he'll play. We'll leave it at that, because you chose him.
It's all right. I can still change it on the day. WhatsApp is a wonderful thing. Next of all, as we always do, we'll do some shout-outs then. I'll start this week, and I'm going for... His name is on Twitter, @TonyArthurBrown. As some of you may know, I had some rather nasty DMs sent my way this week, and was fairly low on my opinion of humanity, but this guy popped up and sent me a lovely DM to restore my faith in humanity. So go and give him a follow. He is a gooner, and just a really, really lovely chap. Rami, have you got a prediction? Have you got a shout out to anyone? And it can be anyone in the world. Doesn't have to be on Twitter or Facebook or anything, or ex-player, anyone.
I hope that this is that Thierry will be something in the club.
Oh,
like in the
nice?
staff. Yeah.
Good shout.
Nice. Very, very good shout. Who have we got? Geoff next?
Yeah, I would like to give my shout out this week to our very own Mark King, who is at MZK90, because Mark and I were always having fierce battles on Twitter, and sometimes I think that he thinks it's I don't know. I love him dearly. I love the battles and the it gets a little bit hostile sometimes. But as long as he knows that we're only having a bit of fun and everything else, so he's a great lad, and get following him if you obviously already do.
I already do.
Amen to that. Lovely guy, Mark. You might have people listen to this podcast. You've probably heard him on a few times this season. Great opinions. Danny?
I'm going to go for friend of the pod, the Swedish Freddie, at Fredrik Darnell. I mean Danell. So FredrikDanell. He's a lovely bloke. He won the competition last year where he got, I don't know, we smuggled him some goods over to Sweden. And I asked him what Swedish team does he support, and he said AIK. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
They lost today 3-0 to Gothenburg.
Oh, there you go, Frederick.
Or at least it was 3-0 when it was 5 or 10 minutes to go of the game.
Do you want to say something funny to Frederick in Swedish, Rami?
No, I'm not bad. I'm not like that.
Oh, go on. Say something that only he will know what you're on about. No. Okay.
Okay.
Never mind.
You just got mugged off, Danny.
I was hoping he was going to say something offensive to poor old Freddie. He's too much of a gentleman.
Freddie would enjoy that.
He probably would.
I can't do that.
No.
You can't have that.
Oh dear.
Jace, finish us off.
I did a podcast last week with a couple of Canadian guys, top lads. They're at full 90 Guna, and they are Mario and Varane, and they're at MNR_14 and at Gunner Forever 07. They're two utter gentlemen, really decent guys. They just love talking about the Arsenal. So, give them a listen and give them a follow. They're top boys.
They spend the whole time saying sorry.
No, give them a listen, just for the fact that yours truly is their special guest this week. CJ,
sing that song.
Moving on up.
Hey, mates, they've got to slam it sooner or later.
Oh, whatever. I was saying, back to podcasting, already whoring myself out to everybody. Everybody gets to go on Guna Gimli.
Revert that.
Right then. So, literally, my thanks to Rami. You've been superb.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Would you come back at some point next season? It would be an absolute pleasure.
Of course. You know where to find me.
Excellent.
Wonderful. We'll have to get you on with Anders Limpar as well. I think that has the potential to be an
Yeah, that
absolutely
would be
cracking
nice.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that. So you heard it here first. That's one for next season already booked in. So thanks to Rami, Geoff, Jason, and Danny.
And yourself.
And myself.
Yourself, yeah.
That was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and keep it Arsenal. Good night.
Nanu, cheeky monkeys. No one interrupted me. That's nice. Makes a change.
Rami Shaaban is a fucking legend. I could listen to that guy all day long.